Speaker McCarthy and I have had several productive conversations.
U.S. President Joe Biden on Thursday said he and top congressional Republican Kevin McCarthy were closer to a deal to cut spending and raise the government's $31.4 trillion debt ceiling, with little time to spare to head off a default that could devastate the economy. Speaking at a White House event, the Democratic president said Republicans are pushing for steep cuts that would increase wait times for Social Security claims and decrease the number of teachers, police, and Border Patrol agents.
I don't believe the whole burden should fall on the backs of middle class and working class Americans. My House Republican friends disagree.
A deal would only set broad spending outlines, leaving lawmakers to fill in the blanks in the weeks and months to come. Any agreement will still have to pass the Republican-controlled House of Representatives and the Democratic-controlled Senate. That could prove a challenge, as some right-wing Republicans and many liberal Democrats have said they were unhappy with the prospect of compromise. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre.
We know this vote will require, again, Democrats and Republican votes, which means that when you negotiate, when these negotiations happen, both sides have to understand that neither side is going to get everything that they want.
A U.S. default could upend global financial markets, push the U.S. into recession, and, according to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, threaten national security.
I think there's no doubt whatsoever that there would be a very significant negative impact on the readiness, morale, and capabilities of the United States military if we defaulted. But I think it would be very, very significant, without a doubt, and it would have absolutely clear, unambiguous implications in national security.
Even as negotiations continue, McCarthy prepared to let lawmakers leave Washington for a week-long holiday recess, but said they would return if needed for a vote.
Concerned is the U.S. about the Chinese state-sponsored hacking group, Bolt Tycoon's recent cyber attack targeting U.S. infrastructure. Does the U.S. believe that despite going after communication systems in Guam, that Taiwan is the real target?
I'm not going to speak to the last part. What I will say is that we are aware of recent activity by People's Republic of China sponsored cyber actor to develop a presence in digital networks across the U.S. critical infrastructure sector. The U.S. government and close allies have released a joint cybersecurity advisory to help defenders identify and mitigate any such activity on their networks. And the U.S. intelligence community assesses that China almost certainly is capable of launching cyber attacks that could disrupt critical infrastructure services within the United States, including against oil and gas pipelines and rail systems. It's vital for government, network defenders, and the public to stay vigilant. It's why the U.S. government in a whole of government action has worked with the private sector to prepare for defenses, and we prepare private sector defenses, and we will continue to work with our allies and partners to address this critical issue.
Upset the narrative imposed on us by our government.
After an echoey presidential campaign launch marred by Twitter glitches, Florida Governor Ron Desantis is looking to bounce back, with stops in early nominating states including Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina next week. In his first series of public events since joining the 2024 race for the Republican nomination, DeSantis will make speeches and hold chats in a 4-day swing across 12 cities from May 30th to June 2nd. Meanwhile, his campaign is trying to put the Twitter event with the company's owner, Elon Musk, in the best light possible.
Just a massive number of people online, so it's serves as restraining somewhat.
The much-typed forum featuring Musk and others were beset with audio and connection issues. Former Republican President Donald Trump was quick to pounce on the Twitter announcement, calling it a disaster. But DeSantis defended the event in a radio interview Thursday, saying the live stream had now drawn more than 5 million listeners and that it has succeeded in creating buzz around his candidacy.
Rob DeSanctimonious and his poll numbers are dropping like a rock.
The day after the Twitter glitches, Trump, in a video posted on his Truth Social platform, mocked DeSantis.
Is he a fool who has no idea what the hell he's doing?
DeSantis' entrance into the Republican contest sets up a showdown with Trump, his one-time ally, who lost the 2020 presidential election to Democrat Joe Biden.
He will have to boost up his charisma.
Elizabeth Anker, an associate professor at George Washington University, says going up against Trump won't be easy.
The challenge for him is that he is not a charismatic speaker. So I think that is going to be, a challenge for him to try to make himself seem that, that people would want to hang out with him in the way that they imagine they want to hang out with Trump, while also trying to be a more even-keeled and calm, somebody who can steer the ship in a more sedate way.
Current polls show Trump with a commanding lead over DeSantis. Other declared Republican candidates include Nikki Haley, former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, and Tim Scott, a U.S. senator from South Carolina.
Elon Musk's brain implant company Neuralink said on Thursday it had been given a green light from the US FDA to kickstart its first-in-human clinical study. It's a critical milestone for Neuralink after earlier struggles to gain approval.
We're confident that it is possible to restore full-body functionality.
On at least 4 occasions since 2019, Musk has said his medical device company would begin human trials for a brain implant to treat severe conditions such as paralysis and blindness. Yet the company only sought Food and Drug Administration approval in early 2022, and the agency rejected the application, sources linked to the company told Reuters in March. The sources said the FDA had pointed out several concerns to Neuralink that needed to be addressed before sanctioning human trials. They include the device's battery, as well as safety issues surrounding its wires and the protection of brain tissue. Thursday's FDA approval comes as U.S. lawmakers are urging regulators to investigate the oversight of animal testing at Neuralink. The company has already been the subject of federal probes, including at least one linked to animal testing and treatment.
Fun game.
In a tweet on Thursday, Neuralink said it was excited to share the news of the approval, but that it's not yet recruiting for a clinical trial. Over the years, Musk has publicly outlined an ambitious plan for Neuralink. He envisions its devices to cure a range of conditions from obesity, autism, depression, schizophrenia, to enabling web browsing and even telepathy, and that both disabled and healthy individuals would be swiftly getting surgical implants at local centers. Neuralink and the FDA did not immediately respond to a Reuters request for comment.
Meteorologists expect up to 9 hurricanes across the Atlantic Ocean this season. That projection on Thursday by the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration is average for the Atlantic hurricane season, but it likely guarantees a major storm between June and November.
For the range of storms expected, NOAA calls for the following: 12 to 17 named storms with top winds of at least 39 miles per hour. Of these, 5 to 9 are forecast to become hurricanes with maximum winds of at least 74 miles per hour. This includes 1 to 4 major hurricanes ranking as Category 3 or above and winds of at least 111 miles per hour.
Last year broke a 6-year stretch of above-average hurricane seasons. Matthew Rosencrans, the NOAA's lead hurricane outlook forecaster, said that El Niño, combined with a high sea surface temperature, makes this season especially difficult to predict.
But we are also in an active era, and having a strong El Niño with an active era and such warm SSTs, I've only seen it one other time in the historical record. There's not a lot of analog evidence for it.
During El Niño, winds blowing west along the equator slow down, and warm water is pushed east, creating warmer surface ocean temperatures and the potential for stronger storms. Rosencrans says the Atlantic Ocean surface temperature is warmer than last year and as high as it was in 2020. And he estimates a 93% chance of an El Niño weather phenomenon during the height of hurricane season.